Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is Alan. If Rise of Skywalker is truly the end of the Skywalker saga, then it's quite fitting for Emperor Palpatine to return in one way or form. After all, without his manipulation of the Force, Shmi Skywalker would have never given birth to Anakin. Without his brilliant political maneuvers before and during the Clone Wars, the galaxy would have never been rid of the Jedi. Without Palpatine, the period between 32 BBY till 5 ABY would have been completely unremarkable. There wouldn't even be a before the Battle of Yavin. Everything would be measured by how long after the Battle of Ruusan something occurred. Even after his untimely death, his contingency plan in many ways set up the foundation of the First Order. By deliberately destroying many of the weak and disloyal individuals left in the Empire through the actions of his agents, Palpatine, through natural and unnatural selection, selected the next generation of space fascists in the same way a rancher might breed some prized horses. But there was an unknown factor in his plan, and that was Supreme Leader Snoke. Without him, all things would have been lost for their Imperial remnants, and the First Order would have never had a chance to grow. So how did Snoke find the Imperial remnant, and did he and Palpatine have some kind of preordained connection? Why is it that Emperor Palpatine ultimately chose the unknown region for his Imperial remnant to run and hide in? The unknown region was not only unknown, it was also extremely dangerous. You had all sorts of unknown species who had advanced technology that ran parallel with the Empires and oftentimes had significant advantage over Imperial forces. Navigation in this area of the galaxy was essentially impossible, even with navigational droids. And that was because there were far too many unpredictable gravitational anomalies, many of which moved. The Chiss, who were natives of the area, had to rely on Force-sensitive children in order to guide them through this mess. These children were very rare and precious, and a Chiss warrior would easily give his or her life to defend these very strategically important assets. Now, it's a good thing that the New Republic most likely wouldn't have been able to chase the Imperial remnant into the unknown region, but it's equally as bad that the Imperials also wouldn't be able to find their own way through either. As a matter of fact, First Order records indicate that the Imperial remnant lost a good percentage of their ship and personnel in the earlier years when they're trying to find their way through the unknown region. Long before any of this had happened, Palpatine had started establishing a large network of observatories around the unknown region. He was trying to use powerful sensors and telescopes to pierce through the thick fog of war that surrounded this area. He'd also sent countless probe droids into the region in an attempt to find a pathway. Palpatine even commissioned a Chiss officer and made him Grand Admiral, partly because he wanted more information about this part of the galaxy. But still, none of this really mattered all that much. No matter how much information he gathered, there's no real way of figuring out a safe way through this area of the galaxy. It's kind of like an NFL running back trying to predict what kind of hole his offensive line will make based on game footage of the same play from a week before. There might be some similarities and maybe he'll get a first down or a long run, but it's just as likely that Nick Bosa will rip right through his line and tackle him for a loss. So the question is, why was Palpatine so curious about the unknown region? I mean, there are plenty other areas of the galaxy where he could have technically restarted the Empire. There are other places that were undiscovered, like wild space and beyond the Outer Rim, that would have been much safer and easier to journey through and beyond the prying eyes of the New Republic. Well, apparently, since the earlier days of his rule, Palpatine had begun to sense some unknown, powerful dark side force presence from that area of the unknown region. He called it an origin of the Force, and it was something that only he could feel. Not even Darth Vader could sense it. It's because of this feeling that he started preparing all these observatories and sending droids into the unknown region and making alliances with blue aliens, which is really out of his character. And just shortly before his death, the probes that Palpatine had continuously been sending through that region of the galaxy finally broke through the maze that is the unknown region and found a way to the source of that force. Now, we never really get to see where that energy actually came from, but an educated guess would point towards Snoke. While Emperor Palpatine was obsessed over finding the source of the dark side, Snoke had carefully been watching Emperor Palpatine with a similar fascination. It's almost the perfect setup for a romantic comedy. Snoke was kind of like the ultimate voyeur. Like Saruman in his tower, he watched the rise of the Galactic Empire and its eventual fall. He witnessed the tragedy that was Darth Vader's life and became infatuated with the Skywalker family bloodline. He became convinced that Leia and Han Solo's son Ben Solo was the perfect balance of light and dark and would serve him well as an apprentice. And so when Snoke started corrupting Ben Solo while he was still in the womb, Dark Lords love messing with pregnant women, it's just a part of their nature. Leia sensed that things are going out of control, and so she contacted her brother Luke and had him train Ben Solo. This actually led to Luke expanding his teachings to other Force sensitives and the creation of a new Jedi Temple. It was something that he never planned on doing, and it was something that Snoke indirectly caused Luke Skywalker to do because he knew that Luke was not prepared for running an entire Jedi Temple, especially with him manipulating one of his most powerful students. And so he was able to quickly destroy the Jedi threat before he could even establish a foundation. It's almost like something that Darth Sidious would have done from the shadows, and if you look at Snoke and Sidious, they do have a lot of similarities. For one, they both admire the four stages of duality, ancient and controversial Noonese philosophers and lawmakers who had helped put together the Galactic Constitution. Palpatine especially liked the philosopher known as Sistros, whose speciality was pandering to the multitudes to achieve selfish ends, a perfect fit for one of the most talented populists the galaxy had ever seen. Palpatine kept a small statue of Sistros in his office despite the controversy it might bring him. Snoke, on the other hand, wore a ring that had glyphs representing Sistros and the three other sages. This would mean that he was also very well versed in political manipulation and controlling entire society, something that he would go on to show when he became the supreme leader of the First Order. So it might not be a coincidence that Snoke met Palpatine's Imperial Remnant in the Unknown Region. After all, the Imperial Remnant had followed the course first charted by Palpatine's droids when Palpatine was trying to find this signal within the dark side. This means that most likely the Imperial Remnants went straight to Snoke's doorstep. And records indicate that without Snoke stepping in and helping the Imperial Remnant, they most likely would not have survived. Snoke had a group of individuals serving him known as the Attendants. These mysterious aliens had at one time taught the Force-sensitive inhabitants of the Unknown Region how to navigate through the complex space lanes in the area, including the Chiss children we were talking about before. The Attendants were sort of the key to FTL travel in the Unknown Region. Without them, you just couldn't orchestrate a massive battle plan or even run an empire and have trade routes. Snoke was an individual with immense power, but he also had the power to reach out across great distances and connect individuals with each other. He was so powerful that he was able to connect Rey and Kylo Ren together even though they were many, many light years away from one another. Assuming that he was the one that Palpatine sensed, maybe Snoke purposely contacted him. Perhaps there still is more to Snoke and Palpatine's story. After all, if Palpatine can survive his body being incinerated by a large blast, then Snoke can definitely survive a small cut. As a matter of fact, Maul suffered a very similar injury and then fell down like 50 stories, and he survived as well. So there you have it, guys. That's kind of the secret connection between Snoke and Palpatine. I mean, many years before even the Galactic Civil War, these two had most likely been contacting or at least sensing each other. Perhaps Snoke knew what he was doing, perhaps Palpatine did not, but there's always been a sort of connection there. At least that's what I think. Hopefully in future content or maybe in the next movie, we'll find out more information. But until then, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, my name is Alan, reminding you that life is a movie and you are the protagonist.